Pittsburgh Steelers are staring down the barrel of their 91st home opener, and this one carries more weight than most. It's not just about kicking off another NFL season. It's about repairing a reputation, resetting a tone, and most urgently, plugging the kind of holes in the run defense that could derail their season before it really begins. There's no sugarcoating it. The showing in East Rutherford left a bad taste. And inside that locker room, the message was clear. This can't be who we are. TJ Watt, always calm but never passive, summed it up in one sentence when asked if the run defense was fixable. Everything's fixable. That's not blind optimism. That's accountability. That's belief, not just in the scheme, but in the guys executing it. That kind of leadership matters, especially when the numbers on the field have been as disappointing as they were against the Jets. This wasn't a one-off breakdown. This is something that's been creeping into the Steelers' identity for more than just the final few games of last season. It's been lingering for years. A defense once feared for its physicality, now getting pushed around in the trenches, unable to close gaps, struggling to win the physical battles of the line of scrimmage. Cam Hayward, never one to duck responsibility, spoke openly about it. Blocks need to be shed. Assignments need to be honored. Gaps need to be maintained, regardless of how many linemen you're dealing with. Double teams or not, the job doesn't change. And he's right. Run defense doesn't belong to the front alone. It starts there, sure, but it demands execution from every level, the linebackers, the safeties, even the corners if need be. Everybody has to play their part, and no one gets a pass when the result looks like what we saw in New Jersey. The issue isn't just effort, it's approach, it's scheme, it's aggression, or lack thereof. There was a lot of grumbling from defenders after that loss, not just about what went wrong, but about how it went wrong. The feeling wasn't just that they got beat. It was that they didn't get the chance to impose their will. It was passive. It was cautious. It didn't feel like Steelers football. That's where the coaches need to respond. And to his credit, Teryl Austin is showing signs that he's listening. He made it clear this week that they're going to get more from some of the younger, hungrier guys on the depth chart. Players like nose tackle Wyatt Black, who has the kind of raw, physical tools you just can't teach. He's big, he's strong, and maybe more importantly, he's nasty. He can't be moved off the ball easily, and he's not the type to get ragdolled by a center with good footwork. He brings a presence, and that kind of presence can change the math up front, especially if it forces offensive lines to adjust their protection schemes. But even with a stronger front, it won't be enough without pressure. The Steelers are known for their blitz packages. They always have been. And yet, against the Jets, the aggression was nowhere to be found. The run blitzes, that sudden pop from a safety, the disguised attack from a linebacker, it just wasn't there. The Seahawks, who come to Acrisure Stadium this weekend, aren't the most threatening offense in the league. Not right now anyway. They sputtered against the 49ers. They didn't even crack 250 total yards. Their quarterback, Sam Darnold, was more of a game manager than a playmaker in Week 1. Their ground game? Uninspiring. Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker couldn't get anything going. A combined 32 rush attempts for just over 60 yards. That's not going to scare anybody. But that's not the point. The point isn't whether Seattle's run game is dangerous. The point is whether the Steelers can finally assert themselves and prove, even if just for 1 week, that they can dominate up front again, that they can impose their will. Because it's not just about this week. It's about sending a message, both to the league and to themselves, that this defense is still one to be feared, that they haven't lost their edge. And to do that, they have to stop letting games unfold. They have to take control. That means getting back to the kind of football they were preaching during training camp: aggressive, physical, violent. They talked all summer at St. Vincent College about how dominant this group could be, about how the defense was going to set the tone. That's not what we saw in Week 1. And that's why this game against Seattle matters more than just the scoreboard. The Steelers need to stop talking about who they are and actually be it. There's a difference between belief and delusion. You don't become a good run defense because you tell people you are. You become one because you take pride in making the stop, in shedding blocks, in collapsing the hole before it even opens. And you have to do that over and over again until the opponent gives up trying. The 49ers didn't hesitate to blitz the Seahawks last week. They didn't hesitate to punch them in the mouth. Robert Saleh's fingerprints were all over that defensive performance. Aggressive, relentless, unapologetic. 4 3-and-outs. That's what dominance looks like. That's what the Steelers' defense should be chasing. It's not about playing it safe. It's not about waiting for a mistake. It's about creating chaos. And if it means giving more snaps to younger guys like Black or leaning on the defensive backs to blitz more, so be it. There's no time for ego here. If the personnel up front isn't getting it done, then changes have to be made. Not in Week 8. Not when the season is slipping away. Now, because these issues don't just magically disappear. If you let a weakness linger in the NFL, teams will exploit it again and again until you have no choice but to change. And by then, the damage is usually done. That's why this home opener has to be a statement. Not just a win, but a shift in attitude. A reminder to the rest of the league, to the fans, and to the guys in that locker room, that this defense still is bite. That when you come into Pittsburgh, you're going to feel every snap, every block, every blitz. The numbers aren't kind, but they don't tell the full story. Not yet. They don't account for the potential on this roster, for the raw talent that's clearly there. They don't measure how much pride this defense takes in its own legacy. But pride alone doesn't get stops. Technique does. Effort does. Execution does. You want to flip the narrative? Start with the basics. Win your individual battles. Maintain your gap. Finish the tackle. And if the guy in front of you can't do that, then find someone who will. Because this unit, for all its promise, is on the edge of falling into a dangerous cycle. One where the questions get louder each week, where doubt starts to creep in, and where every game feels like another chance to prove you're not who people think you are. So yes, TJ Watt is right. Everything is fixable, but it has to start now. Not next month. Not after another loss. And not just with words. It has to start with a defense that lines up on Sunday and reminds everyone why Pittsburgh has always been known for its toughness. Stop the run. Set the tone. Send a message. Everything else can wait. The biggest mistake the Steelers could make right now is pretending the issues in the run defense are just early season rust. This isn't a matter of timing or conditioning. It's not just about cleaning up missed tackles or getting back into rhythm. It's about something deeper, something structural. Over the last several seasons, Pittsburgh has drifted away from what made it feared defensively. The edge is still there in moments, in flashes, but it's not consistent. The standard has always been physical domination up front, but lately, opposing teams have found ways to control the line of scrimmage, to create space, and to force Pittsburgh's defense into reactive football. And that's the exact opposite of what this unit was built to do. Part of the problem is rooted in personnel. Too often, players who are meant to be disruptive are being neutralized too easily. Getting off blocks is one of the most fundamental tasks in defensive football, and yet it's becoming a repeated struggle. Cam Hayward talked about it openly. When a defensive lineman gets locked up with an offensive lineman and can't disengage, he's basically erased from the play. He's just a body standing in space, watching the action go by. That can't happen. Not in Pittsburgh. Not with this defensive legacy. And it's not just about one player or one snap. It's about an overall mentality. Right now, there are far too many reps where defenders are absorbing contact instead of delivering it. They're reacting to blockers instead of dictating to them. The coaching staff has to own part of this too. The passive approach in Week 1 didn't fit the personnel, didn't fit the tone they'd spent the entire offseason promoting, and certainly didn't match the moment. A defense this talented should never look cautious. They should never be sitting back, waiting for plays to develop. That's not what Steelers football is supposed to look like. This group was built to attack. So when you see a unit that seems to be thinking too much instead of flying to the football, the natural question becomes, why? Why are they holding back? Why does the scheme look like it's designed not to make mistakes, instead of designed to dominate? That's where the coaches have to step in and let their players play. If someone is a natural disruptor, give them the green light. Stop overcomplicating things. Let instincts take over. The Seahawks present an opportunity to reset. They're not a high-powered offense. They're not stacked with dominant linemen. And they're coming off a game where their ground game looked flat and uninspired. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy. This league punishes teams that assume anything. But But it does mean the Steelers have a real chance to correct course without having to face a top-tier rushing attack. That's valuable. That's a chance to not only clean things up on tape, but also rebuild some confidence. And make no mistake, confidence matters. A defense without belief in itself can unravel fast. One bad week becomes two. One missed assignment becomes hesitation. The defense starts to doubt its own reads, its own reactions. And when that happens, everything slows down. That's why this week isn't just about stopping Seattle's run game. It's about reestablishing swagger. It's about getting back to a place where the defense believes it can impose its will. Because until they do that, everything else feels fragile. Right now, the unit is walking that fine line between potential and underperformance. We've seen the talent. We've seen what players like T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and Cam Hayward are capable of when they're unleashed. But they can't do it alone. It has to be 11 guys moving as one, trusting the call, trusting each other, and playing fast. And if someone isn't up to speed, then the Steelers have to be willing to make changes. The window for figuring it out is already closing. That's why getting someone like Y. Blackmore involved could be such a turning point. He's not just another big body. He brings something different to that interior. He brings violence. He brings a level of anchor that forces the offense to change how they block. That's how you win early downs. That's how you force third and longs. And that's how you create opportunities for your pass rushers to pin their ears back and do what they do best. It all starts up front. It always has in Pittsburgh. And if the foundation is weak, the rest of the house crumbles quickly. But personnel changes alone won't fix everything. There needs to be a philosophical shift. This defense needs to get back to being the aggressor. That means more run blitzes. That means disguising coverages and sending pressure from unexpected places. That means forcing quarterbacks to make decisions under duress, even on first down. Sitting back and waiting for third and obvious doesn't work anymore. Offenses are too smart. They're too fast. And they're too comfortable if you let them control the flow. Look at what the 49ers did to Seattle. They didn't wait. They attacked. They set the tone early. 4 3-and-outs isn't just a stat. It's a statement. It tells the offense, you're not moving the ball today. You're not getting in rhythm. You're going to earn every single yard. That's what the Steelers need to do this Sunday. They need to come out of the tunnel with bad intentions. They need to treat this like a playoff game, because in a way it is. It's not about the standings right now. It's about identity, about pride, about proving that this isn't the same soft middle that showed up in East Rutherford. And it's not just the defense under pressure here. The offense has to carry some of this load too. The best run defenses in the league aren't just talented. They're supported by game flow. If the Steelers can establish a lead early, it changes everything. It forces the opponent to throw. It limits their ability to stick with the run game. And it gives the defense a psychological edge. You start to play downhill instead of sideways. You stop reacting and start attacking. But that's only going to happen if the offense handles its business. No more short possessions. No more wasted drives. Put up points. Protect the ball. And give the defense a reason to turn it loose. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The NFL world is buzzing with speculation after whispers started circulating that Tyreek Hill, one of the most electrifying wide receivers in recent memory, could be on the verge of a blockbuster move to the Pittsburgh Steelers. If the deal comes to fruition, it would instantly go down as the biggest signing in franchise history. A claim that, until now, seemed almost unthinkable given the storied history of Pittsburgh football. Sources close to the team suggest that negotiations have been progressing quietly, but with intensity. Hill, known for his jaw-dropping speed and playmaking ability, has long been coveted by franchises looking to inject a spark into their passing game. The Steelers, who have been searching for a game-changing offensive weapon, appear ready to go all in. Insiders hint that the potential contract on the table would not only make Hill the highest-paid player in Steelers history, but also signal a new era of bold moves for a team that has traditionally favored conservative roster management. The rumor mill is spinning fast. Could Hill's presence finally provide quarterback Kenny Pickett with the elite target the young signal caller has been craving? Fans have taken to social media in droves, debating how Hill's signature speed and dynamic routes would transform Pittsburgh's offense overnight. Some analysts are even suggesting that Hill could be a catalyst for the Steelers to return to Super Bowl contention sooner than anyone anticipated. Of course, nothing is official yet, but the mere suggestion of Tyreek Hill donning the black and gold has already ignited discussions across sports media. Is this just the beginning of a flurry of high-profile moves, or is Pittsburgh about to redefine its team identity in one fell swoop? One thing is certain. If this rumor turns out to be true, the Steelers may have just made the most audacious signing in the franchise's history, and the NFL landscape will never look the same. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.